Bold, cutthroat romance scam. Holy moly. I can't. I just can't. This is all still fresh and escalating quickly, and I'm still processing everything that's happened, but I feel like I need to get it out. It's not easy, especially with how quickly it's all turned explosive. Some of the details I'm keeping vague for privacy and safety reasons, but I'll give you the gist of it. To give you some context, I'm a woman in my 30s with a solid corporate job in a field with a lot of room for growth. I've been back in the dating scene for a little while now, after being out of it for nearly a decade, and while I'm not the most perfect 10 in the world. I joke with friends about how I'd be a solid 10 if I just lost a bit of weight. I never have trouble attracting attention. I'm not rich, but I live comfortably and can afford some extra spending money now and then. I live in a huge multicultural city, and after being married to an immigrant before, I'm open to dating people from all walks of life. Now, if you're wondering why I mention how I look, it's because I've realized that this whole mess just goes to show that I wasn't the perfect victim for someone looking to scam someone like me. His failure to choose a better target speaks volumes. But let's get into what actually happened. A few weeks ago, I met a man from a Latin American country. He was only a couple of years younger than me, and at first, he seemed incredibly sweet, charming, affectionate, intelligent, emotionally available. He had a good job in his home country and came across as family-oriented and educated. There was a lot of chemistry between us, both mentally and physically. Honestly, I thought I had hit the jackpot. He told me he was in my country on a tourist visa, and he was hoping to stay. I made it clear from the beginning that I wouldn't be able to help him with that, but we could have a fun, casual fling while he was here. If he managed to stay or return, we could see where things went, but I wasn't looking for anything serious just yet. He seemed to be on the same page. Then, a couple of weeks and 4 dates in, something shifted. We were texting, and out of nowhere, he asked me if I would be his sugar mommy. At first, I laughed, assuming he was joking. But no, he was dead serious. He kept pushing, insisting it wasn't a joke. It was like a slap in the face. I couldn't believe it. I immediately felt insulted and went off on him, asking how he could even think to ask me that. He maintained that it wasn't a joke, and when I expressed how hurt and embarrassed I was, he turned on me. He got defensive, saying I was too sensitive and that he didn't even need to sell himself. No apology. No remorse. I was fuming. I immediately took screenshots of everything and cried to my closest friends about how I'd been duped into thinking this guy actually liked me. I felt betrayed, and frankly, humiliated. But I wasn't going to let it slide. My friends quickly jumped into action. One friend, who's a bit of an internet sleuth, started digging into his online presence. She and I soon discovered that he had multiple Instagram accounts, about 6, that all had different variations of his name and photos uploaded in batches. Each profile seemed suspiciously staged, and there was an eerie pattern on Facebook as well. But the real smoking gun came when we found out he had foolishly tagged his illegal employer in one of his Instagram posts. This was the moment when I knew I needed to get the authorities involved. I reached out to another friend who works in a local law enforcement agency, specifically in immigration, and asked her to look him up. To my shock, she found that he had a wife and a daughter back home. So much for the charming bachelor act. That's when we decided to release the hounds. My investigative friend created several group chats on various platforms and added his family, friends, basically everyone he knew. We posted the screenshots, exposed him for the scammer he was, and ranted about how embarrassing it was that he thought he could manipulate women into paying for him. As his friends and family started blocking her, she just added more people. She even found his sister's phone number and sent her the same message. It didn't take long for his entire circle to know what kind of person he really was. His wife found out about his infidelity, and everyone saw just how deep the deception went. About 30 minutes after the online explosion began, I got a rude message from him, telling me I should have known he was joking and that he didn't need to sell himself. I didn't even dignify it with a response. But we didn't stop there. We knew we had to take it a step further. I filed an online immigration report, submitting all the information we had on him: his full name, date of birth, photos, screenshots of him admitting to working illegally, even his employer's name and address. Immigration reports typically take months to review, but I gave the case number to my law enforcement friend, who pulled some strings. 2 days later, I found out that officers had visited his home. They discovered that he was in possession of a local phone number linked to a resident. And his roommates were using the same phone number, which directly connected them to his employer. He was issued a caution for trying to scam me, a no-contact order, and a major flag on his immigration file. Based on his country of origin, it's highly likely he won't be able to return to my country again for years, if ever. But it didn't end there. His employer also got a visit, and it turns out they'd been employing him and several other people illegally. The authorities found enough evidence to indicate that the company could face hefty fines and potentially jail time. Now, here's the kicker. He won't be deported right away because the process is lengthy and the government doesn't want to pay for his deportation. However, he's now permanently banned from returning to my country, and if he tries to reach out to me again, it'll lead to his immediate deportation. I don't know if he realizes just how much he's lost. He's going back to his wife, who knows all about his lies now, and his reputation is in tatters. As for me, I'm just relieved that I didn't fall for his charm in the end, even if it took a bit of digging to uncover the truth. I hope he enjoys the mess he's created. I won't be seeing him again, and honestly, I don't think anyone in his life will either. It's a shame that people like him exist, but I'm glad I found out who he really was before things went any further. My boyfriend's mother is out of control. She's caught up in a romance scam, even asked me for $2,000. This situation has reached a point where I'm beyond frustrated, and I feel like I'm losing my grip on everything. I've been trying to figure out what to do for months, but nothing seems to work. I'm writing this now to vent and hopefully get some advice from others who might have been through something similar. I don't want to leave my boyfriend over this, but it's been so draining for me, and I'm not sure how much more I can take. Here's how it all started. In early 2023, my boyfriend's mother, Linda, not her real name, obviously, pulled me aside and told me to keep a secret. She was so excited, gushing about how she had met the Prince of Dubai. Yes, you read that right, the Prince of Dubai. You can't make this shit up. Apparently, they were planning to get married, and everything was moving forward, except for one tiny issue. According to Linda, the prince needed some money, and she was asking me for $2,000. To say I was shocked would be an understatement, but I stayed calm and asked her what the money was for. She told me that the prince needed it in Bitcoin, another huge red flag. At this point, I was honestly speechless. How could she believe that this was real? I mean, the Prince of Dubai? And why was she so willing to send money when she could barely make ends meet herself? I asked her about it, and she mentioned that once the prince had all his financial issues sorted out, he would take care of her, and she would live the life of luxury. She truly believed this fantasy. She thought this man was going to solve all her problems. She wasn't even interested in him for who he was, it was just about the money. I knew I had to do something, so I contacted the scammer directly. He was charming, telling me how much he loved Linda and how they were going to have a wonderful life together. When I confronted him, things escalated quickly. He started getting verbally abusive, questioning why I had spoken to her about it. I hung up on him immediately, but it wasn't over. I messaged Linda right after and begged her to stop all communication with him. But she refused to believe me. Instead, she told me I wasn't being understanding. That was a breaking point for me. This entire situation was tearing at the fabric of my relationship with my boyfriend. He could see where I was coming from, but his mother was being so stubborn, and I was running out of patience. I had multiple conversations with her, trying to reason with her and get through to her. I thought maybe she was finally starting to get it. But I was wrong. Fast forward 6 months, and we get a phone call from my boyfriend's sister. She found out that their brother had sent money to Linda, thinking she needed help. Instead, she sent that money directly to the scammer. My anger exploded. I just couldn't believe it. How could she do this again after everything that happened? I talked to her, I warned her, and yet here she was, scamming her own family for a man who wasn't even real. We did some digging and gained access to her online account, and that's when we found proof of just how deep she had fallen into this trap. She had been buying gift cards, sending $250 worth each time to the scammer. It was heartbreaking to see that she was still falling for it, that she was sending money she didn't have to someone who was taking advantage of her. At that moment, I felt hopeless. I had tried every possible approach to make her see the truth. I was beyond trying to understand her, beyond offering sympathy or calm reasoning. It was hard not to resent her at that point. I wanted to scream, "How could you be so blind? How could she continue to believe a man who had nothing to offer but lies? How could she waste her money, her time, and her emotions on someone who was so clearly a scam?" Now, fast forward to the present day. I thought she had finally stopped talking to the scammers, but the other day, she was showing me something on her phone when a notification popped up from someone called my baby. The message was something like, "I can't right now, baby, I'm celebrating Eid and breaking my fast." I was taken aback. I tried to pretend I hadn't seen it, but I knew what it meant. I'm terrified that she's still talking to him, still sending him money. How do you even deal with someone who refuses to see the truth? I'm so torn right now. I know I'm not her parent, and it's not my job to step in and fix her life. I could just walk away from this relationship and forget all about it. I could cut ties with her and stop dealing with the stress, but I don't want to leave my boyfriend. He's just as devastated by all of this as I am, and the situation is tearing him apart. It's one thing for someone to get scammed, but when it's your own family member doing the scamming, it's even harder to process. I've done everything I can to open Linda's eyes. I've tried being patient, I've tried being direct, I've even tried being harsh. But every time, she falls right back into the same delusion. I feel like I'm at a point where I just can't deal with it anymore. I love my boyfriend, but this situation is putting such a strain on our relationship, and I'm not sure how much longer I can tolerate it. The mental and emotional toll it's taken on me is staggering. I've tried to stay strong for my boyfriend, but at the end of the day, I'm exhausted. I'm so drained from trying to fix something that feels completely broken. Every conversation with Linda feels like a step back instead of forward, like I'm talking to a wall. She's always so defensive, so sure of herself, and so eager to believe in this fairy tale that's keeping her trapped. I just want peace. I want my relationship to be free from the constant stress and heartache that Linda has created. I want to stop feeling like I'm fighting a losing battle every time I see her. But I also don't want to abandon my boyfriend. He's been my rock through all of this, even though I know he's just as devastated as I am. We've both tried to keep our relationship intact, but this is a constant, gnawing issue that just keeps coming back. Every time I think it's over, another twist happens. At this point, I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I want to protect my boyfriend from this madness, but I don't know how much more I can take. I don't want to walk away from him, but I'm not sure how to keep fighting this fight, either. My emotions are all over the place, and I'm at a loss for how to move forward. I just want it to end. I'm looking for any advice on how to handle a situation like this. How do you break through to someone who is in such deep denial? Is there any way to make her realize what's happening before it's too late? I feel completely stuck, and I'm not sure where to go from here. Edit. Please don't mention how my boyfriend isn't there for me or isn't involved in the situation. He is fully aware of everything and is as affected by this as I am. He's trying to stay calm and not let it consume him, but I know it's just as hard on him. I just wanted to share this from my perspective. Any thoughts or suggestions would be much appreciated. I just want this to stop, for my boyfriend's sake, for Linda's sake, and for my own sanity. I'm exhausted and heartbroken, and I'm not sure how much longer I can keep going like this.